Hi, today we're gonna learn how to read music together. And so we have our staff here, and we have our treble clef and our bass clef. So our treble clef is where all of our higher notes are gonna be, and our bass clef is where our lower notes are gonna be. And so for violinists, we play in the treble clef, and for piano students, we are going to play in both actually. Usually our right hand will play the treble clef and our left hand will play the bass clef, the low side of the piano and the high side of the piano. And so the first thing we're going to do is we are going to learn about something called line notes and space notes. And so if you look at this board right here, do you see how there's these lines? And so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines in the treble clef and also 5 lines in the bass clef. And then do you see how there's spaces in between each one of these lines? We have 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces in both clefs. And so we're going to put some dots there. So if I put dots or notes on each line, do you see how the line is going right through that note? So that means that's a line note. And then if we put notes in each of those spaces, do you see how these ones are kind of like floating in between those lines in those spaces? So these are our space notes. And so we're going to practice figuring out the difference between line notes and space notes for just a second, and then we'll learn what each one of those letters for each one of those notes are. And so if I put a note right here, is that a line note or a space note? I'll give you a second to think, and then I'll tell you the answer. So that's going to be a line note because the line is going right through the center of that note. What about this one? This is also another line note because the line is going right through. We'll do a couple more. What about this one? This one's a space note because it's just kind of hanging out in the middle of those lines in a space. And we'll do one more. What about this one? So this one's going to be another line note because the line's going right through that note. So we're going to go back to our spaces. As a reminder, we have 4 spaces in the treble clef and the bass clef, and we're going to just do the treble clef for now. And so here are all of our space notes, and each one of them has a letter, like we just talked about. This first letter is going to be F, this one is going to be A, this one's going to be C, and this one is going to be E. And a really easy way to remember the space notes in the treble clef is when you put all those letters together, it spells space, and so that's a really easy way to remember the space notes. Okay, so moving on to the line notes, we have 5 line notes in the treble clef. And these ones are going to be E, G, B, D, and F. So E, G, B, D, and F. And so this doesn't spell a word. And so this one's a little bit trickier to remember because it doesn't spell anything. But what we can do is we can put it into a sentence. And so our sentence for these line notes is going to be Ellen's goose bit Dan's finger. so if we turn this back around, do you see how each one of those letters are the first letter of each one of those words? And so if you put it into that sentence, it's a little bit easier to remember. So we have Ellen's goose bit Dan's finger. And then once we've got that, what we're going to do is we're going to take some time to practice our treble clef notes, and then we'll move on to the bass clef. And so if I put a note right here, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to figure out if it's a line note or a space note to figure out if we use our space letters or our line letters. And so, is this a line note or a space note? So this one's going to be a space note because it's in the space in between the lines. And so our space note letters are face, and so we need to match up which space this is on with our letters. So this is on our first space, and our first letter of face is F. And so this is going to be an F. And then we're going to try out this one. So is this a line note or a space note? So this one's going to be a line note because the line is going right through the note. And so we'll get out our sentence. And so we need to figure out which line this is on. I'm going to hold this up a little bit higher. So if we count up from the bottom, it's 1, 2, 3. It's that third line. So we need to figure out the third word of our sentence, which is Ellen's goose bit. It'll be this word right here. And our first letter of that word is B. So this one's a B. And let's go ahead and do one more. Let's do another line one since the line ones are a little bit more tricky. So we'll do this one. So let's go ahead and count which line that is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's the fifth word of our sentence. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this one is an F. Okay? And so sometimes these sentences are like a little bit weird to remember because, you know, you have to get all of the letters correct. And so if you say this sentence in your head like 5 or 6 times, you'll probably be able to remember it. And so just say it over and over in your head to help you out. Okay, and then why don't we go over to the bass clef? And so for the bass clef, we're going to do the same process. We're going to first figure out if it's a line note or a space note, and then we're going to do different sentences for both of those. So we're going to start with our spaces. And again, we'll have 4 spaces. And these spaces are A, C, E, and G. So A, C, E, G. And the sentence for this one is, all cows eat grass. So all cars eat grass. And then for those line notes, there's going to be 5 lines, just like in that treble clef. So for these ones, we have G, B, D, F, and A. So I'll go ahead and write that down, and then I'll show you the sentence that I like to use. And so the sentence that I like to use is, good burritos don't fall apart. And same thing for this one. The first letter is the note name. So we have, good burritos don't fall apart. Oh, and this one is, there we go, back in its place. And so let's go ahead and practice a little bit in the bass clef. So we'll do this one first. So is this a line note or a space note? This one's going to be a space note because it's hanging out right in the space of those lines. And so we have to figure out our space sentence. And so that one is all cows eat grass. And we're on the second space. And our second word is cows, which is C. And so that's the letter C. Okay, what about this one? Is that a line note or a space note? This one's going to be a line note because the line goes right through the middle of the note. And our sentence for that one is good burritos don't fall apart. So let's go ahead and count up those lines. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have F for this one. Okay. So as you do your note reading, the first step is to figure out which clef it's in, if it's the treble clef or the bass clef. And then you'll want to know if it's a line note or a space note. And then from that, you can figure out which sentence or word you need to use to come up with that letter. And I'll go through all the sentences one more time for you, just that way you can remember them. So our spaces for our treble clef are going to be face. Our lines for the treble clef is Ellen's goose bit Dan's finger. Our spaces for the bass clef is all cows eat grass. And our lines for the bass clef are good burritos don't fall apart. And so that's just a basis of note reading. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me or message me, and I can try to get those answered for you. Okay? So I hope you all have a great day, and I'll see you next time.